Gorgeous. Simply gorgeous. It's a gorgeous, sunny afternoon. It's Friday. My name, Adam Daniel Mezei. You might not recognize me, but you can recognize the voice. Welcome back to the video blog, and thanks again for watching. So, I really like young people. You know, I like young people. Sounds like Pacino. I really like young people. I really like hanging out with young people because I find that in talking to young people significantly younger than myself, to the tune of a decade and a half, for example, I learn so much about the way that I was when I was that age. I learn by watching them and hearing them and talking to them and interacting with them. I learn so much about what I was like, and it astonishes me in so many ways. It astonishes me on a number of different levels. I can list some of the levels. For example, it astonishes me that I may have been that way at that stage. I may have said things like that. I may have been so resolutely determined in the righteousness of my cause and the correctness of my beliefs and the accuracy of my words and all of those things put together that I wasn't going to be swerved or convinced otherwise. And much of the time those opinions are not informed by any degree of cogent research or any kind of life experience. But the attitude and the opinion is there nevertheless. And I find it refreshing, I find it humorous, I find it kind of embarrassing in a way too. Because eventually what happens is, like all lives, in people that are intelligent, they're always evolving and adapting, and they're self-actualizing. You learn that all of those prior positions that you had were just a joke. It all goes to pot, you know, really it does. So I like that aspect. The other aspect is I look for clues in behaviors of people that are, let's say, 15 years younger than me. I look for clues in how they behave that remind me of things that I did or that I still do. And then I kind of see how somebody like myself who still does those things, how it all could have began. And when I see it confirmed in the case of other people, all very ambiguous at this stage, as you can rightfully imagine, but still, when I see this exuded in the personalities of other people at young ages, I just kind of smile to myself and I say, oh, that's how it starts. That's how it begins. That's how you end up becoming the way that I am, 15 years before. And I think it's fun. Also, I like hanging out with young people because they remind me that I'm very young acting and young looking, and I enjoy being around young people because they kind of bring up your A game. You can't really be a fat bastard, if it's the case of, for example, young women. You can't just be like some fat bastard, You've got to kind of be in shape, You've got to take care of yourself, and it doesn't mean you have to be like svelte or metrosexual, or your muscles have to be like perfectly cut, or I don't know what. You can imagine all kinds of other possibilities. That doesn't mean that that's the case. It just means that you have to take care of yourself, because if you're single, and I am, and you want to be in the game, which I am, you've got to know that you've got what it takes when you've got to deliver. Let's just leave it at that. Another thing I like about young people is they like to learn, and they like to listen. And I don't like to pontificate, but I do like to share my experiences. And I do that in a number of ways, via a number of different media. Of course, I do it here on the old video channel. And I also do it, through other techniques. I like to talk, I like to have coffees or go for drinks and talk and share experiences. It's so refreshing because when young people engage you in banter and they ask you questions and they want clarifications for their positions or beliefs, and then you have an opportunity to deliver information about what you went through, you can see the eagerness in their eyes, you can see the alacrity in their attitude, and you really want to cultivate that, and you want to really harness that power, because it is a power. It's like a gyroscope, you want to kind of harness that power. You also realize when you hang out with young people that you have a responsibility to make sure that you don't take advantage of them, and that you don't lead them down the wrong path, and that you don't abuse them because they're we'll call it for what it is, because they're naive in some areas in life, and you have to watch them, and you have to take care of them, and you have to nurture them, and you have to empower them, and it also delivers a degree of humility, because you realize, like, and not to say by any stretch that I'm done with big challenges, but like you kind of back off and say, you had your big shot at that stage of your life. And now you can't keep doing the same thing. Now you got to kind of hand off the baton, and you got to let them do it. And then what you basically do in a scenario like that is you kind of channel them in the right area, and you say, okay, try that out, try that out, try this out. Don't necessarily be doctrinaire in your opinions. Don't limit yourself to certain possibilities or what have you. Just, kind of go at it from a number of different perspectives. And when you talk to young people and they tell you what they're doing and what they're excited about and what they're talented in and what their otaku is, what their hobby is, and stuff like that, you get to kind of stand back a bit and say, okay, if we try this path, you'll end up here. If you try this path, you might end up here. If you try this path, you might end up here. And it's nice to play armchair quarterback in a way. Again, all delivering the humility, because you realize you could damage somebody, or you could uplift somebody and make them into like a powerhouse. And so I like that aspect of being able to hang out with people at that stage in their life. I think it's refreshing. I think more people could do it. I think that's why older people, like people, for example, my grandmother's age, they like hanging out with people our age, because we remind them of stuff that maybe they wish they could have done or that they once were. And it's a great dynamic. It's a wonderful human dynamic that I suspect that animals don't necessarily have. Because, I'm not going to say that animals don't communicate, but they don't have the kind of social interactions necessarily that human beings do. Perhaps primates have this, to some degree, bonobo monkeys, whatever, orangutans, chimpanzees, perhaps gorillas or what have you. But they don't have this kind of ability that we can actually tap in to like this precious resource. And I'm not old in that sense by any stretch, just to say that I've had the good fortune of hanging out with people that are a tender age. Not to mention that they're just delicious. I mean, they're just delicious people. And let's not even go there, but it's just great to have that around. And it's great to acknowledge the privilege that they give you in turn of always bringing your A game to the table and showing them what you're made of. So salute to young people on this Friday, on the weekend, as I wear my Lucky Gilligan hat, given to me by my dear friend, my very dear friend Andrew Semple in Vancouver, who is a Buddhist monk. And I wanted to wish all of you the very best of things. And I'm a little bit delirious because I have not slept in 24 hours. So if I'm a little bit on the Shatner mat, you'll understand why.